The future tense is an essential part of English grammar. It allows us to talk about things that will happen. We use the future tense to express our plans, predictions, and promises. Two common ways to form the future tense are with will and going to. Understanding the difference between these two forms is crucial for accurate communication. In this essay, we will explore the nuances of will and going to. We will learn how to use each form correctly in different situations. By the end, you will have a solid understanding of how to express future actions with confidence. Will is used for decisions made at the moment of speaking. These are the kinds of decisions that pop into your head suddenly, without any prior planning or forethought. They are often reactions to immediate situations or needs that arise unexpectedly. These spontaneous decisions are not planned in advance. They happen in the spur of the moment, driven by the circumstances you find yourself in. It's like when you suddenly decide to go for a walk because the weather is nice, or when you choose to watch a movie because you have some free time. For example, imagine you are talking to a friend and they mention they are hungry. In that instant, you might decide to do something about it. This is where will comes into play. You might say, "I will make us some sandwiches." This decision to make sandwiches is spontaneous. It wasn't something you had planned before the conversation started. It was a reaction to your friend's statement about being hungry. This decision to make sandwiches is spontaneous. It highlights how will is used for actions that are decided upon in the moment. You didn't have it planned before your friend mentioned being hungry. It's a perfect example of how we use will in everyday conversations. You did not have it planned before your friend mentioned being hungry. This kind of immediate decision-making is a key aspect of how we communicate our intentions and plans in real time. The structure for using will in the future tense is straightforward. It's a simple yet powerful way to express decisions and intentions that are made on the spot. For affirmative sentences, the subject is followed by will and the base form of the verb. For example, "I will go to the store," or "She will call you later." For negative sentences, not is added after will. This changes the meaning to indicate that something will not happen. For instance, "I will not go to the store," or "He will not attend the meeting." For questions, will comes before the subject. This structure helps to form questions about future actions or decisions. Examples include, "Will you join us for dinner?" or "Will they arrive on time?" This simple yet versatile use of will helps us navigate and communicate our spontaneous decisions effectively. Let's look at some more examples of how will is used for spontaneous decisions. Imagine your phone is ringing. You might say, "I will get it." This is a spontaneous decision made in the moment. You did not know the phone would ring before it happened. Will is also used for predictions. For example, you might say, "It will rain tomorrow." This is a prediction about the future based on your current knowledge or intuition. Similarly, will is used for promises, such as, "I will help you with your homework later." This is a promise you are making in the moment. Unlike will, which is used for spontaneous decisions made on the spot, going to is used for actions that have been planned in advance. This means that the decision was made before the moment of speaking. These are decisions made with some forethought and consideration. For example, you might have thought about your weekend plans earlier in the week and decided what you were going to do. For instance, if someone asks about your weekend plans, you might say, "I'm going to visit my parents." This implies that you have already made the decision to visit your parents, perhaps even arranged the travel details. This implies that you have already made the decision to visit your parents. It shows a level of commitment and preparation that is different from a spontaneous decision. The structure for using going to is slightly different than will. It involves a specific grammatical construction that helps convey the sense of a planned action. For affirmative sentences, the subject is followed by the appropriate form of to be, am is are, then going to, and finally the base form of the verb. For example, "I'm going to study tonight," and finally the base form of the verb. This structure helps clearly indicate that the action is planned and not a spur-of-the-moment decision. Negative sentences follow a similar pattern but with not after the form of to be. For example, "I am not going to the party." Questions invert the subject in the form of to be. For example, "Are you going to the party?" This structure helps to clearly indicate that the question is about a planned action. Section 5. Going to, in action examples and contexts. Consider this example. "She is going to study abroad next year." This statement indicates a plan that has already been decided. It is not a spontaneous decision. The use of going to emphasizes the premeditated nature of the action. Here's another example. They are going to launch a new product next month. This sentence also conveys a planned action. The company has already made the decision to launch the product. The use of going to distinguishes this from a spontaneous announcement. Section 6. Visual comparison: will versus going to. To further clarify the distinction between will and going to, let's examine a visual comparison. Feature: will going to. Type of decision: spontaneous planned time of decision made at the moment of speaking, made before the moment of speaking. Example: I will answer the door, I'm going to bake a cake for the party. This table highlights the key differences between the two forms. Will is for on-the-spot decisions, while going to is for predetermined actions. Understanding this distinction is crucial for using these future tense forms accurately. Section 7. Practice makes perfect: exercises and applications. Now that we have covered the fundamentals of will and going to, let's practice applying this knowledge. Choose the correct form of the future tense, will or going to complete each sentence. 1. I call you later tonight. 2. She travel to Europe next summer. 3. They have a meeting tomorrow morning. Write your own sentences using will and going to demonstrate your understanding of their different uses. By practicing with these exercises, you can solidify your grasp of these future tense forms and gain confidence in using them correctly. Section 8. Common errors: avoiding future tense mishaps. One common mistake is using will for planned actions. Remember, will is for spontaneous decisions. For example, saying, I will visit my grandmother next week implies that the decision to visit is just now being made. If the visit is already planned, the correct form would be, I am going to visit my grandmother next week. Another error is using going to for predictions. Predictions are generally spontaneous, even if they are based on some evidence. For instance, we say, it will rain tomorrow, not it is going to rain tomorrow. Section 9. Beyond the basics: a glimpse into other future tenses. While will and going to are the most common ways to express the future tense, there are other forms that provide additional nuances. These additional forms can help you convey more specific meanings and add depth to your communication. By understanding these variations, you can express future actions with greater precision and clarity. The future continuous tense will be plus present participle, describes an action that will be in progress at a specific time in the future. For example, I will be studying at 8 p.m. tonight, indicates that the action of studying will be ongoing at that particular time. This tense is useful for setting the scene in future narratives or for making predictions about ongoing actions. The future perfect tense will have plus past participle, describes an action that will be completed by a specific time in the future. For instance, by next year, I will have graduated from college, means that the action of graduating will be finished by that time. This tense is particularly useful for deadlines and for expressing the completion of actions before a certain point in the future. Finally, the future perfect continuous tense will have been plus present participle, describes an action that will have been in progress for a certain duration by a specific time in the future. For example, by the end of this month I will have been working here for 3 years, indicates the ongoing nature of the action up to that point. This tense is useful for emphasizing the duration of an activity and its continuity over time. Understanding these additional future tenses can enrich your understanding of English grammar and allow for more precise expression of future actions. By mastering these tenses, you can describe future events with greater detail and accuracy, making your communication more effective and nuanced. Whether you are writing an essay, giving a presentation, or having a conversation, these tenses can help you convey your message more clearly. However, mastering will and going to provides a solid foundation for navigating the complexities of the future tense. These basic forms are essential for everyday communication and are the building blocks for understanding more advanced tenses. By starting with will and going to, you can gradually build your knowledge and confidence in using the future tense in various contexts. So take the time to practice and familiarize yourself with these forms, and you will be well on your way to mastering the future tense in English.